are not, nobody's got any crotchety old neighbors, right? There's next door to them that are always griping and complaining about everything, and you're worried about that fire getting on. Again, certain seasons of the year. And what I hope you'll see today from this burn is how easy, how simple a lot of these growing season burns are. And where they're, and a lot of times it looks like, man, they're not going anywhere, or it's not burning. Just like you said, you don't see no flames. It's like, so if you're into sexy fire that's real big and fast moving, this ain't for you. This is easy kind of fire. I like easy. So, for the biggest part of it, and it's all about moisture. It's all about green stuff and getting it grow. Now, granted, we can have some extreme fire behavior in the summer if it's dry. We get into drought situations. Yeah, we can definitely do that. But as long as you got some green in here, it totally changes how fire behaves. It totally changes that animal into what it was. So a lot of y'all are used to seeing and accustomed to seeing dormant season fire behavior. Fast moving fires, big flame lengths, hot. It's hot because it's hot outside. But it can definitely change that. So the main thing is, look at Lincoln in that burn season, picking good weather conditions, picking safe days to conduct it. Again, as Jason said, him and John burned this all by themselves. They burn a lot out here doing that all by themselves. And again, you'll see, I just burned 4 or 5 acres down here last week. So man, you're going to look at that and say, wow, there's just 2 of them. Leaf blower.
Yeah. Right now, if from this spot, you can see a last year's summer burn around this canyon. You can see the difference on the edge. And then you can also see if you look across the fence where they don't have any fire. I just wanted to point that out. And this directly behind this fence was a growing season burn last July.
How long do you hold on, Ken?
About 2 weeks, really. You'll see this little patch. In 1 week, there's already stuff that big, growing in it. We had a good rain here Saturday night, so
we've got our areas where our patch burn sites are still water that we've got, same as up in Nature Service got on the prairie. We burn cattle with cattle on there, and they stay on there, and they're on it as soon as they're actually walking through the flames and the smoke, looking around for stuff. There's nothing there for them to eat. They're looking for it.
You'll do that dry.
A little more history on this ranch is the Stillwater pipeline coming from Call Lake comes through this ranch, and whenever they come back to reseed that disturbance, the contract said blue stem. Well, they put Old World blue stem, and so I have a huge problem with Old World stem. So what I want to do is burn that this time of year and put the cattle directly on it, so that stuff doesn't produce that seed head.
We'll probably talk about this when we go out and actually look at the burns, but you said how long ago was the burn that you did? A week ago?
A week ago today.
But you'll see that in the growing season burn, because so much of the vegetation's growing, it's really patchy. So it's not the same as what you'd see in a dormant season burn. So there's usually still something there. So you have regrowth quickly because the temperatures are right for regrowth. But you also have a little bit of vegetation that's probably still there.
I guess I'll make a note again. With you guys being with wildlife, y'all are not big into broadcast spraying, but some of y'all probably noticed coming in there was some dead trees and stuff. Had a little overspray.
Yeah, there's some overspray. If you look on this side of the ranch, particularly this line right here, you'll see some trees defoliating, especially as we drive out. That 2,4-D product drifted on here and killed a lot of the beneficial weeds, or not weeds, but flowers and forbs and stuff that you'll see in a summer burn that you'll see in other parts of the ranch, but not right here. That 2,4-D zapped that forb.
Is there any coordination with the nesting season?
Absolutely.
For the quail and all that?
Typically this is the peak time of the year for quail nesting, but quail are kind of like rats. They're gonna continue to nest as long as the conditions are right. So sometimes just to get it burnt, you don't worry about it. You don't want to burn all your place if you're worried about quail and nesting, but You know, as long as there's something there for them to nest in. You know, the main thing is when those baby birds are that big, they need some bare ground to go and bug in. And a growing season burn, you'll hear a lot of quail in this growing season burn right now from last year because it's a little more open, and the plant diversification is better. But not only that, you know, this is not western Oklahoma. This part of the country is not really conducive to high populations of quail. You know, every mile might have 2 or 3 coveys versus out there it might have 10. I think with this stuff and growing season burns, you can manipulate that foliage and increase that carrying capacity of quail. I really do. You know, you take that tall grass ecosystem that's this big down to a little bit shorter.
We can let our upland rat biologist.
Yeah, I've gone up there a while. I'm up in game dollars for Oklahoma, and I pretty well agree with that. I mean, quail are going to re-nest. Like you said, don't burn the whole deal, but they'll persistently re-nest as long as conditions are right. And growing season burns, from what I've seen, birds are pretty beneficial for quail.
You can hear quail right now whistling all around here. I can hear them anyway.
You go to some of the burned areas from the wildfires that got down. You hear a lot of birds in burned areas. Fires are very good for quail.
That's what you know. The main thing you need to remember is all of our native wildlife species are adapted to fire. The fire's been going on here for centuries, and a lot of.
The reason I asked, I had some CRP. You know,
Yeah,
FSA is so strict about when you can
right, and
graze
that's almost one of my pet peeves about that. Again, it all goes down to scale. You know how much you. So if that's 100, let's say you got 160 acres of CRP, and that's the only 160 acres of CRP in a 10,000 acre landscape right there. Yeah, that's probably going to have an impact on nesting birds. But if there's other places looks exactly the same scattered all through there, yeah, it may have an impact this year, but you know, you're creating better habitat, better nesting cover later on. So, you know, that's always one of the biggest problems. It always seems to me that it's more of a detriment to burning, and people saying, oh, we can't do that. There's been some really good studies done, especially in the southeastern U.S., looking at growing season birds or burns and ground nesting birds. As little as 10% nest mortality, even on any of that, even within that. So I mean, that's very light. And again, all your ground nesting birds have the ability to re-nest. So nest success typically goes down, correct, the more times they nest or re-nest.
And generally less clutch size. So you want that bird to get off and if something happens to it,
But they're going to re-nest.
If you were to push your growing season burns even farther into the summer, would you lessen any damages to the quail nest?
Okay, everybody hear the question? So pushing your burn window back further. So again, what is it? What's that window typically that, like on CRP? Is it May 1? July 15th in it?
Yeah.
Sometime in. But again, you've got it'll probably hit less of that nesting period. But again, a lot of those are re-nesting anyway. Quail nest all the way till
nest of October.
yeah, October. And so you're always going to have that possibility, you know. But what they're trying to avoid is that main part of it. Again, it's all about scale. So if Jason wanted to burn all 2,800 acres of this right now, yeah, you're going to have an impact right in here. But also, again, the other thing is, just as Laura said, as you look at these burns, they're not going to be as clean and stuff. So it's going to leave patches and leave stuff out there. So a lot of times too, not everything's going to look, you know, just like that pavement right there, slicked off, totally burned. You're going to leave spots out in there where stuff can nest. It's got some cover and being able to do that. But so that's the things to think about with your burn, whether you're burning in the spring, dormant season, you know, growing season, whatever. Scale of burn, what are we trying to impact? What are we trying to do? Goals and objectives. You know, do we want to do bigger burns? Do we want to do a bunch of smaller burns? You know, there's all kinds of things that we can do, and that's all has to do with what your goals and objectives are on that piece of ground. That's a big part.
What kind of fire break? You know, the river is a great one, for instance, and then there's multiple roads through the ranch, primarily. And with the growing season burn, as you'll see, you'll actually get to see where we're going to burn today is where we grid for our guided quail hunt. You know, we do a put and take quail operation because we can't sustain the amount of hunters that we run through here. So you'll see these patches that probably won't burn, where we mow for the hunters to walk. So during the growing season burn, that even just a mowed stretch will suffice a lot of time. So as far as fire breaks on boundary lines and on a dormant season burn, we'll disc the edges, which in turn will create habitat for quail too, as far as the forage go. But that's the road system, the river, and some of the mowed areas primarily.
We use the blowers to push the fire.
The blowers, in my opinion, if I had one tool to take to a fire to put it out, is the blower. I could blow more fire out quicker with a leaf blower than I can with water. Especially in this terrain. You know, you're not going to get it even some of that rig in some of this terrain.
And you're not using it to push fire, you're just using it to blow it out.
You can use it to push fire. You know, if you didn't want to, if you got lazy and you didn't want to pick up the torch and walk, you could push it. And then you could come here, and after it burned away, you could blow it back out. You know, it's my most valuable tool, more so than water. Real quick, to touch back on what John was saying earlier in a question about safety. I feel in my dormant season burns, you know, if I do get a good burn, the fluctuation in weather, the very next day it might blow the opposite direction and catch something else on fire. The only time I've had a fire out on this ranch in my 4 years was because the wind switched. A tree that was been smoldering for 3 days fell over, kicked an ember up, and it was burning. And thank goodness I had some good neighbors. Stephen, wherever he's at, right there.
I saw it.
He said, "Hey, your place is on fire again." I said, "I didn't got a fire going." So
You were headed to Tulsa, I think.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Bring it back here.
anyways, use your neighbors. Sometimes they're useful.